are live now, and we are starting the webinar. A warm welcome to all the distinguished speakers at webinar on transforming tourism through startups with the theme harnessing entrepreneurship for development of tourism. In fact, the Startup India initiative was launched with the aim to unleash and harness the entrepreneurial potential, especially of the youth. And since then, we have come quite a distance, and Rajasthan has a fairly developed startup ecosystem. The relevance can also be felt that all the sectoral programs that we have done recently, we have tried to find out how the startups can contribute to help. And we have done one on how startups can help make Rajasthan the arts capital of the world. Then we have done day before yesterday on water, how water startups can help address water concerns. We have done one on agriculture, and today we are talking about tourism. And in fact, we have industry leaders like Sabina ji with us who have done it much before these jargons were coined. And we have success stories. So, and we hope that we have a discussion and we are able to come out with some solutions that help us improve the startup ecosystem in the state and promote more and more startups so that they can rejuvenate, revive, and also redefine the sector in the state. So with these words and a small announcement, Ms. Mugdha Sinha would probably be joining late because she is held up at Vidhan Sabha. Today is the last day of the assembly. And with these words, may I request Mr. Chintan Bakshi, who is the CEO of Startup Oasis and working on the development of startup ecosystem in Rajasthan, for his theme address. Over to you, Chintan.
Thank you, Atulji. Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Namaste to everyone. Very good morning to everyone. Randhir ji, Atulji, Sabina ji, Surendra ji, and Sandeep ji, and to all the viewers. So it's a pleasure to be in this webinar. So I'll just give a quick introduction. So I represent CICO and Startup Oasis. We are the incubation center at IIM Ahmedabad, and we have been incubating, supporting startups since 2008. And we were one of the first incubation centers to do the accelerator program in India back in 2009, which we modeled on the lines of the Y Combinator accelerator program. I have, of course, been over the last 8 years been working extensively in Rajasthan as part of our MOU with RICO, Rajasthan government. So I think it's a very pertinent topic. Tourism is one of the sectors which has been hit the maximum in the COVID times, but it's also been a sector which has seen a fair amount of startup activity in the last few years, and therefore I think there's a very natural hope that it's startups which are hopefully going to renew and rejuvenate the sector as we open up gradually, as the vaccine kind of becomes more widely available. So I think there's a very, very clear specific role that startups have to play in renewing and rejuvenating the sector. It's also become very clear in the last 1.5 years that there's a significant interest in things Indian, whether it is Ayurveda, whether it is yoga, etc. I think that's a cultural IP of sorts which is out there that we should try and monetize on. My perspective in terms of the role that startups have to play going ahead, I think there has been significant work which has been done by the online aggregators. I would say that is the startup 1.0 in the tourism sector, whether it is Make My Trip or Yatra or one of our startups, which aggregates experiential and adventure tours. So that sector of aggregating services, aggregating experiences, and getting customers online has happened. In my opinion, the next wave of activity really needs to happen in a more hyper-local environment, and we are essentially looking at startups which are focusing on specific areas, specific niches, specific experiences. And in fact, I may even want to call them as high growth businesses rather than startups. So I'm talking about, let's say, a startup which is a bunch of entrepreneurs which are creating some interesting walk tours or experiential tours around food, let's say in the Jaipur old city. And there are quite a few. I mean, there are at least 4 or 5 that I know of. They could be, there's one startup which is working around trying to create awareness about the water harvesting structures in traditional Jaipur, in Amer, etc. So there would be a lot of these interesting experiences, because more and more, I think I'm just trying to combine what I just said earlier, that tourists who would come to India, even domestic tourists, international tourists, would want to actually go for experiences, right? I mean, in a way, transportation, hospitality, food, etc., become like the substructure, which is very, very important. But what will really attract them to a place like Rajasthan, and I'm talking from the context, given that we are focusing on the state, is really experiences. So we need, I think, hundreds, if not thousands, of startups which are really curating these experiences. And this is the right time to do it, because there are enough platforms available out there, whether it is Make My Trip, Thrilophilia, etc., which can enable customers to buy these experiences. What the gap that I see really is the lack of quality experiences, innovative experiences, which give tourists a sort of a good understanding and a good exposure to what Indian culture is, what's new. I mean, because ultimately a tourist will also select India because if he sees a USP here, the tourist sees something which is unique here, which he will not get in Europe or some of the other places. And there are quite a few things which are there. So as long as these enterprises, because a lot of these enterprises will be small, as startups are, they may not have direct access to these companies, to these tourists. So therefore, if there is possibility of some collaboration with these large aggregator platforms on the front end, and the actual service providing being done by these enterprises, then I think that will work. And I'll just take 2-3 minutes to conclude my basic premise. So how does this happen? What's the way in which we can get these small entrepreneurs to become more dependable, to become more scalable, to kind of grow? So we have been really thinking about that. Every state essentially needs to conduct a series of what we call as accelerator programs, right? So they can select tourist destinations, they can select tourist sort of triangles or whatever are their tourist tourist areas, and create accelerator programs where startups basically come and use that as test beds to try their things out. So let's say if there's a startup in Delhi which is doing very interesting heritage tours, there should be an accelerator in Rajasthan which says that, okay, we are opening up the Amer City Palace area, and these are the few areas where you can try and curate some tours. And these startups come and do that. And you can even invite investors in these kind of accelerator programs. So an accelerator program essentially enables various stakeholders, whether it's aggregators, investors, mentors, startups, government, municipalities, etc., to work together in a time-bound period. So I think one of the key ways in which this sort of 2.0 of startups working in the Indian tourism sector is going to be through these curated programs which are focused on hyperlocal areas, tourism hubs, tourist hubs, triangles, etc., which invite startups. They curate some interesting products, and then there are other service providers, investors who help them scale it up. So I think that's I think one of the things that at least I would be willing to work with at the CIECO level, and we would be willing to sort of partner with relevant organizations and create such accelerator programs. So with that, I think I'll hand it over to you, Atulji. I think we are entering very exciting times. As long as we can come together, kind of gather our strengths, etc., and start working towards building these startups and social enterprises, we are going to see a lot of very exciting times ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bakshi, for setting that overview and context. I thought I will take Randhir ji next. By the time Madam Mugdha Sinha will also join, but probably she is getting delayed. So without wasting any time, Randhir ji, I will request you for your remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Atul. Good morning to everybody. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Ms. Mugdha Sinha, Secretary Science and Technology, Government of Rajasthan, Mr. Dilip Chenoy, Secretary General FICCI, Ms. Sabina Chopra, co-founder, Yatra Online Private Limited, Mr. Sandeep Lodha, CEO, Oyos Wedding.in, Mr. Chintan Bakshi, CEO, Startup Oasis, Mr. Surendra Singh Shahpura, Chairman, Shahpura Hotels, participating delegates. Tourism is the mainstream of economy of Rajasthan and has a very significant impact on the employment and entrepreneurship in the state. The pandemic has severely affected the sector, but it is also one of the most resilient sector, and it will bounce back once things start stabilizing. Yet again, entrepreneurship and digital transformation are key allies in facing the challenges of the coronavirus crisis. The sector responded to the advent of internet and digital transformation and then facilitated its exponential growth and broke the traditional value chains, eliminating middlemen, making hotels, airlines, and travel packages more accessible to the consumer. We have great leader and a facilitator, Ms. Mugdha Sinha, amongst us today. It would be an enlightening experience to hear her. We have industrial leaders like Ms. Sabina Chopra and Mr. Sandeep Lodha amongst us today, and who will share their experiences and perspectives on the way forward. We have ecosystem partners and enablers like Mr. Dilip Chenoy, Mr. Surendra Singh Shahpura. You've already heard Mr. Chintan Bakshi. We believe that the accelerating startups will improve processing and lead a new way of positive impacting the sector's value chain, creating smart destinations, making data-driven decisions, and using artificial intelligence, blockchain, LOT, augmented reality, and geolocalization will allow travelers to regain their confidence in travel with the assurance that reopening of borders and businesses based on the technical criteria. I'm sure that there's going to be an exciting exchange of ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. In fact, this thing I will vouch for. We have been discussing, doing a lot of series of interactions and webinars, and at no point of time the industry has sort of given up or lost all the hope. It's always put a brave front. Okay, we will bounce back, we will come back. And as soon as during the various phases of unlocking, as during the webinar on future of wedding, Sabina ji said, Indians will continue wedding, social mice will pick it up, and it has definitely happened the same way. So with these words, I would request Ms. Sabina Chopra, co-founder of Yatra Online Private Limited, to share her thoughts. Over to you, ma'am. You have to unmute, ma'am. You're on mute.
Thank you so much for your comments. And yes, I remember the first one that we did somewhere in August, September is when I mentioned that weddings will take over everything. And I think will give you social gatherings, and weddings will also get you the entire feed, which was, lacking there. And rest assured, what I've seen that, Rajasthan has really, really captured the wedding market, especially for North India. And the kind of attractive deals that have been thrown by the 5 stars or the heritage properties to attract consumers or attract that market is an eye opener. They've really taken it to the next level. But if I see now, if I let's say take entrepreneurship, when you talk about Rajasthan, there is no other state in India which has the heritage, the culture, which India. That's the state which has everything possible that is required for tourism. Name it heritage, name it, the tours, name it the palaces, the tourism sector. There's no other state like Rajasthan in India, as what I can see. However, what I feel when I talk about, even Mr. Bakshi's mentioned that, what is the new thing that they could do? What is the new things that they can attract? Everybody understands heritage is number one state is Rajasthan. But how can we place this heritage in a new way, in a new fashion? That's where the new ideas come in from different people. When you look at entrepreneurship, they are the ones who are, if you encourage that kind of concept in Rajasthan, they are the ones who are going to rethink, okay, people come in and stay in a palace. People come in and stay in a 5-star hotel. What else can we add on to them? What else can we do to attract them? You see, Rajasthan has been, and I'm saying doesn't even have to play that card. it is there, that heritage is there with them, which I call the entire palaces, the entire culture which they have. How can they revamp the whole thing? And that's for the new generation or the new people. Even if you're a 40-year-old, this COVID has given us 1 year's time to rethink our businesses. How are we going to address this business again? I'm not saying that new people need to come in. Even the existing people who are there in the, who've been selling a hotel, what is the new thing that they can do in a hotel? For me, that is also entrepreneurship. What is that they can add to their, what is a new consumer looking at? And that's an analysis. When you speak to your customers who are coming into hotels every day, ask them what is the new additional thing that you can add on. That for me is entrepreneurship. It's not like, really starting something new. It's adding on to your businesses, rethinking your businesses also in a way, where you can really redefine the entire experience. I've been going to Jaipur for more than 30 to 40 years. I've been going to Rajasthan. And it's the same thing again. When I go there, it's Jaipur and Udaipur and the palace and the lake. And what is the new thing that you've added on? So for a customer who's gone to Udaipur for the third time, what is the new thing that I'm going to see there? I'm just redefining what Mr. Bakshi has said in local language. What is a new thing that I'm going to see when I go there? Why should I go to Udaipur the third time? Why should I go to Udaipur the third time? So the third time I should be going for something which is called the food, which they're doing. Right now, if I talk about, we had the wine tours which used to happen. Now you can have the gin tours, which is a new drink which has come out. Where can you taste those new drinks which are coming through? Where can you taste the new foods? Who's going to take you to, the stay in Rajasthan has been, or stay in Udaipur has been, stay for 5 days in a hotel, and then maybe one day you go and eat at one restaurant which is mentioned, in the itinerary. How? No, I don't want to do that again. I've done it the first time. I want to do something new the next time. What is that the local Rajasthan people can get from me? Okay, is it a new tour? The whole day I spend exploring, the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner part in different parts of the, and not the popular hotels which have, been booked that, okay, this is the local. I have been to those restaurants, umpteen number of times. What is that new thing that I'm going to experience? Is it a food in a hotel that I can have, in a palace that I can have? Is the different kind of services that I accept? I'm giving you just an example. Instead of the wine tour, okay, what is the new spas that have come up? What is the new experience? And what is Rajasthan going? Ayurveda, Kerala has killed that for you. Okay, Kerala has taken it into a different level. Goa has certainly followed it through because tourism is happening. The people go there and they're tired for one day and they want to do something. So, a spa comes in. What is that new thing in a spa that you can do in Rajasthan? What is that you can add the heritage value, add that bit to a spa experience and get that on? Is that spa going to happen in a location which is unique to Rajasthan? Is the products that you're going to use local to Rajasthan? I'm just giving you an example. This is an area which is completely, I don't think Rajasthan is, it may be doing it in small pockets, but when I talk about, food trails, I don't see that in Rajasthan very much. While you have, or they're not publicized well, or they're not aggressive enough to go out to the market. How can we assist them to get awareness and how to do it? And of course, it has to be backed by quality, because right now the choices are so humongous. For an Indian traveling within India, the choices are huge. So it has to be backed by quality. Whatever you're offering has to have that. Today's generation wants quality also. It's not only the experience that they're looking at and they're, going to slum it out, as in the right word. They want quality. They want to experience quality in today's time. So how is Rajasthan going to address that? And how are the officials going to assist guide the newcomers or guide the existing hoteliers to revamp their products? Today, when I talk about weddings, and of course, Sandeep is one of the wedding experts here, and just to share with you, how is that wedding, which is going to be 1,100 people or 1,200 people, going to revamp to 200? Because for an Indian, 200 is a small wedding, all right, and that is a new thing. How is that 200 wedding going to be a new type of a wedding in Rajasthan? What is that 50 people? What are we doing to address that 50 people gathering? in Rajasthan. I'm sharing with you my experience, and which is, my daughter got married on 7th, and we had restricted it on 7th, on 50 people. We are not going to take 51 people also. I could find nowhere in Rajasthan that I could take people out for 50 people. Either they wanted the whole hotel to go out, they were not ready to offer me 50, maybe 25 rooms and make it special for me. For them, 50 was, it's too small. Let's look at the bigger game, which is, I don't think, and I finally had it in Delhi. But you see, that's an opportunity lost. That's an opportunity lost. What are these particular hotels doing, capturing, 200 people and then not trying to capture the 50 people, wedding? Those are things which, it's an everyday entrepreneurial journey which you see. Every day we have to rethink our business. It is these small, does the consumer want? The consumer wants something different. He's traveled to Rajasthan. Anybody in India would have traveled to Rajasthan. What is that Rajasthan is adding new to its products, which can keep attracting them? That is my view. And, I keep, thinking about new things, and I keep, giving suggestions to people who come and, ask us for it. You are staying in a palace, you're staying in a heritage, but what is that new thing in that heritage hotel that is going to add to your experience is what people do. And I feel that entrepreneur is new ideas, but it's also revamping your existing product and creating a new product out of it. And that's where I like to leave it and leave it to the rest of the panel to talk.
Thank you, ma'am. And the key is what is the new element that we add, which attracts tourists in times to come. The experience has become more important. The product, the heritage part of it is intact, but what new elements we can add to this to attract tourism in Rajasthan. Thank you for your presence. If your health permits, please stay back. Otherwise, share. Now, Ms. Mugdha Sinha, Secretary Science and Technology, has joined us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining. And without taking any time, I would request for your remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Atul. And very nice to see Randhir, Vikram Singh ji. Very big hello from my side. We're only meeting virtually now.
Virtually, I know. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. And
good to see you, sir.
Chintan, good to see you also. And every time I see Chintan, I am reminded of things that I'm supposed to do. So, Surendra Singh ji, very hi to you. Sandeep Lodha ji, hello. And Sabina, I'm glad I heard you, because it, kind of also brought some fresh perspective in terms of what I thought I would also want to say, pretty much in line with what you have said. It resonates also with people in the government. Just to give you a little perspective, I really don't know what I'm doing in a session on tourism, because I think the Secretary Tourism is different from Secretary Art and Culture, and I am also Secretary Art and Culture. So maybe I'll talk more about how to build a culture of technology and how to bring about transformation using technology. And I also feel that technology is now in a way so embedded in our lives that it is difficult to think of our lived experience on a daily basis without technology. And it's just not in the sector of tourism, but almost in our daily lives every which way. I have been thinking a lot about this, because we are using a whole host of technology, even in our own department of art and culture. We started something called, astro tourism, astro night sky tourism, using the part of Department of Science and Technology and giving a new cultural dimension to how our monuments can be opened up for public at night by allowing people to come and do stargazing. And it has become quite a buzz in the city. And we are doing 2 events every month, depending on the conditions of the sky. So with that little kind of innovative thing that we keep doing, when I was thinking of tourism and technology and how the two can work together, integrating and connecting dots, which is what I always think that we must do, break the silos of departments and come together, work in an integrated manner. I was just thinking that apart from, what is the commonality between technology and tourism that we often miss, apart from the fact that both of them start with a capital T. Both of them are intangibles in many, many ways. A culture or ecosystem, either of technology or of tourism for that matter, is an intangible. It evolves, changes in processes, changes in mindsets, changes in experiential, consumption of both technology and tourism. Apart from that, I think innovation, as Sabina mentioned, is the need of the hour, because if you want repeat tourism, you can't offer the same thing. You have to keep changing. And technology, the beauty of technology and tourism, and also with not just the beauty but also a little downside, is that you have to keep upgrading. Just imagine when the first mobile phones came, what if technology did not change? We would be having the same phone and still being in touch with everybody else. But the point is, look at it from a business mindset. There is a triangle which works. Because if the 7.5 billion population that we have, if everybody was given a phone set and your technology didn't change, then the businesses won't grow, because there will be a stagnation in the market. So we have to understand one thing, that there will be change in technology only because there is a business dimension, because people want to sell technology. So technology will keep changing. But on the other side of both technology and tourism is the fact that they are consumers. Unless we are able to integrate tourism technology with the third dimension of consumers, because the consumers have to adapt to technology. So it is something like a top-down approach, which in the government we really don't encourage. So we want to see things, put our feet in the shoes of the consumers, and then understand how we'd like to serve tourism to them using technology. What is it that we as consumers of technology or of tourism would like to see? And when you talk of transforming tourism through startups, so I want to make this very clear at this forum, that our startups is just a small part in the Venn diagram where the universal set is technology, right? So you really don't have to segregate and say, okay, how startups will bring about a change, because after all, startups are also using some kind of technology or some kind of new ideation which is happening. And in the 4 factors of production in classical economics, you had land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Today, entrepreneurship survives on 2 other things. One is ideation. If you can think out of the box, do lateral thinking, right? And the other thing is combine that lateral thinking and ideation with technology, right? So it is the job of business people, and the jobs of government have become more difficult in these days, because you have to every day, just imagine the life of a housewife whose husband and kids are demanding new food every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is what the consumers who are guzzlers of these experience are today demanding, new things. As Sabina very rightly pointed out, because unfortunately I only had the opportunity to listen to her, and I absolutely agree with her. How is it? See, in Delhi Connaught Place market, if you look at the number of restaurants which come up on rentals, right? I've lived a major part of my life in Delhi working in the government of India, and I've seen that every 2 or 3 years, if you'd like to go back to the same restaurant, you will find that same space is occupied by a different restaurant, because in the space of the 2 years, people have enjoyed, whosoever wanted to go to that particular kind of an experience has got saturated with that kind of experience. The brand name has died out. So that is exactly the gestation period, or the shelf life, let me put it that way. Today, the shelf life of both tourism and technology is very, very short. See, technology is a product of the business market, where some new company will come and say, okay, I announce this, and disrupt the market totally, and everybody then will be jumping onto that bandwagon. So what governments and businesses today have to do is look at what Nasib Taleb has said, be anti-fragile. How can you be anti-fragile to survive the disruptions which are happening in the market, in terms of creative thinking, in terms of technological upgrades, in terms of new technology coming into the market, is to be able to anticipate. The only way we can become anti-fragile is to become anticipative in nature, to see what is something that has not happened elsewhere and bring it be the first. As Peter Thiel said, move from 0 to 1. Think of something. So if somebody comes up and repackages Facebook in another way and say, okay, I'm launching this, it's not going to work, because Facebook had that advantage of being the first player in the market. So what we can do in tourism, this is a very macro understanding of how we need to think, because what technology has done today has changed our way we must think. if we are thinking on the same lines, if we are doing the same old things, then we will be producing the same old damn results, which is what we don't want to do in today's time, because we can't afford to do. Government, fortunately, unfortunately, can afford to do, because we come with a certain kind of a survivable package, but people in the private sector cannot afford to do, because they'll die in the market, and then it will be very, very difficult for them to resurrect them unless they have some kind of a brilliant eureka of an idea. So very specifically, moving from the macro picture of ideation and philosophy, let's see how we can use startups. See, today, I think the best way to use the present to bridge the gap of the past and the future is what we are also doing is, one, today, people are not reading books, right? You have a whole lot of stuff which is out there. There is a whole lot of, say, for example, documentation that we have today with us. Can we bring it out in the public domain using the new digital technologies, using the new AR, VR experience, and put it out to the public? Because also with COVID, what has happened is, and also please understand, the new generation kids, the Gen X and the geriatric population, and both in fact begin with a G, so it's easy to remember. The Gen X and the geriatric population both are not really moving out of the homes in many, many ways, right? So I think you need to cater, look at the age, look at what kind of experience they want. There is an issue of loneliness. There is an issue of mental well-being. Can we use tourism in any way to keep people engaged? Can we bring back man at the center of things, a concept which was begun in the Renaissance age in Europe? Can we do that? Because today the experience that will remain with you, the memories that you will cherish, are the ones in which you were involved, right? Like Sabina mentioned, for example, the wine tasting experience, because you're doing it yourselves. Can we curate experiences which involve our five senses and maybe to the hands and the limbs? Can we look at that? We are not doing that. If you look at the, out of the five senses that are getting used, mostly are the visual sense. Podcast is something which is going on, and there is going to be, we don't even get to see the kind of technological changes that are coming about in audio. And we are not even concentrating. Podcast is just one, symptomatic, if I can say, like the icing of what is happening in terms of the technological changes. But can we do, because there is, the downside of technology is that we are exposing ourselves too much to the screen time, right? That is also leading to a lot of, a lot of issues. Any kind of culture is dependent on a triangle of art, artist, and audience, the three A's, as I would like to say. Are we able to get them together? How are we going to replace the peer, learning experience, the collaboration that happens in the physical space? Is there any way we can bring about technology to bring about a disruption in that? The screen time, I'm talking to you today, but I'm actually talking to a blank wall, because I really don't know. Of course I can see your facial expression, but it's very different being in a physical space. Is there any way we can do something about that in technology? Also, I feel, and this I'm being candid because I see a lot of private people, please don't take it otherwise. My job is to posit questions for all of us to think together, because I really believe in collaboration, but collaboration can only happen if we ask ourselves very, very candid and frank questions. See, the problem is I'm working in an industry which I thought would be very easy and seamless to work, art and culture. But I see there's so much of politics. You call one theater group and there are 10 who are ready to pounce on you and tell them we are the original. So that there is this kind of politics which is there, and we need to devise ways in which, we have always focused on one thing, the public-private partnership, right? Which is government working with a private, or in different ways, different private entities. But we find in the government, and this is for all of us to look at how we can ease it for the government and also for all of us together. And I understand there is a sense of competition which happens, but maybe if we can bring the sense of cooperative competition somewhere, there will be more value added in society. So how can we have a federation of private people working in the same domain come together in a collaborative manner, say in a public citizenship partnership, to do things with the government? we have started doing something very similar in Jawahar Kala Kendra by inviting people, by reaching out to people. Because when the government reaches out to people, then I think there is a certain magic that happens. And I really feel that we are in very, very small ways doing ideation. And I also feel that this is my personal thought, but I think I should leave it here. There are certain things that both the public and the private people should do free to build up a brand image, because the more we do things consistently over a period of time, we establish a brand image. And once the brand image is established, we can then charge and earn revenues much better. So maybe for the first 2 or 3 years, we can do certain experiences, offer certain experiences free to build up our audience base, to build up an iqbal in the artists community. I also feel that we, both the governments and the private sector, are not really looking very seriously and not using technology, by the way, because data is the new oil today. You know, why private people in the space of art and culture are not collaborating with us? Because the moment we do, and I am very happy to collaborate, I'm very happy to carry people's logos. I've been doing it for the past almost 1 year now, giving space to art aggregators. Anna. And it says Department of Art and Culture in collaboration with Jawahar Kala Kendra. And say, for example, I'm just giving a name which comes immediately to my recall, Rajasthan Studio, for example. It's an art aggregator, right? We are not asking them to share their database with us because that is their business. I'm not sharing my database because that is the government's database. We've all used our time, energy, efforts, but we've come together on a single platform to promote art, to promote artists, and to get audience on a collaborative platform. And I can tell you the experience on both sides, including the private sector side, has been very, very good. And they've written to us saying that thank you very much. By being in collaboration with you in a pro bono manner, we only paid the artist and we did all the social publicity. So the intangibles were taken care of by us. Their platform has got a certain profile being attached with the government, and we have got new audiences through collaboration with them. So I think let us look at innovative, collaborative means of doing business. I think we need to disrupt this space and make it a two-way traffic zone. And I am in the Department of Art and Culture and Department of Science and Technology, very, very happy to invite proposals. I will be very happy to have people walk in my office with proposals, and we can discuss how we can create new experiences. I have also in another society which I run as the secretary, called the IS Literary Society of the IS Association of Rajasthan. I have seen that we have reached out to a lot of people, and because of the brand that we've been able to establish, working consistently on programs in physical and virtual space over the last 3 years now, we would also be happy to collaborate with hoteliers. We'll be happy to get hoteliers association come and become our audiences for various art shows that we do, because you are both the connoisseurs, you also have niche people come to your hotels, you also need art, our artists need to sell their paintings. Let us do a collaboration in which it's a win-win situation for all. If you want commissioned, we can have an art camp that can get based on commissioned work. We can get the best of artists, get commissioned work prepared. You can buy that. I'm just giving you ideas that I have in mind. We want to do art shows where, while we do art appreciation with art material, we are also happy to have art stationers put up show in Jawahar Kala Kendra. So there are a lot of ideas that I have. I need partners who can use both technology. I have a lot of old pictures. I'm happy to provide access to our archives, provided we can agree on a revenue sharing modality so that we can both jointly see. I work in DST where copyrights, the whole intellectual property rights regime becomes very important. So I will be very mindful from my own side that we don't transgress on people's copyrights. But I would also expect the same from the private sector. And I am happy to look at various kinds of ideas. And I think we can discuss a whole lot of stuff individually, and I'll be happy to hear from all of you. The idea is, I can just tell you that the government that I work in is for the first time, I've seen a lot of our ideas have got picked up, especially in the field of art and culture, which is a great solace for all of us working in the field of art, because artists, the only way you can create a culture of art and technology is by usage, and by word of mouth publicity. That is the only way, because both these domains, tourism and technology, are intangibles, and so is the word of mouth publicity that begets us goodwill. And goodwill from a very commercial point in your what you say balance sheet, or brand positioning, as advertisers would call it in government, is translated into Iqbal of the government, where people trust institutions, where people trust people, that if something is said, or if this particular institution is doing something, the quality aspect will be taken care of. So with these words, thank you very much. Very, very happy to be a part of this ideation, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. I will continue to do my work and be maybe not visible, but I'll continue to hear all of you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and good luck. And I hope look forward to also connecting with the wedding guys, because just to tell you, Mr. Sandeep Lodha, I don't know you personally, but I heard Sabina mention. I would want to tell you that we've opened our monuments currently only in Jaipur as an initiative for wedding photography. So maybe that's an idea. I mean, you could reach us, and we can tell you how we can use the backdrop of monuments to give people immersive experience. And there is something, a business opportunity for you. Please note that the government is giving you an idea and is not charging you any consultancy for this idea. So please at least have a good word for the government of Rajasthan, if at all, that I'm giving you a good idea which can help propel your business. So hope to be in touch with all of you, and look forward to be a part of this ideation. Thank you very much, and good luck, and bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. In fact, innovation, as you mentioned, is the key, and many big brands have failed because they failed to innovate in time. And anticipative in nature is also rightly said. You have to have that first mover advantage, and you cannot be a repetitive, because that might not bring that kind of success. So thank you for joining and accommodating your schedule. And now I would request Mr. Sandeep Lodha, who is CEO of oyoweddings.in. Welcome, Mr. Lodha. Good to see you again. And in fact, if you remember, during the wedding tourism webinar, we were talking about unlocking of monuments for weddings, and so at least we have moved some way forward in that. So the thinking across the board is same. So over to you, Mr. Lodha, please.
Thank you, Atulji. Really privileged to be here, and Mugdha ji, thank you. I will ask for your contact from Atulji and set up some time to understand more. I heard you, completely, and appreciate stuff. I think this is the first time a government official comes on the platform and gives really actionable, have actionable things for us. So really appreciate that. So some of us don't know about weddings.in. So let me introduce about weddings.in. Quickly. We are India's largest wedding company. We sell venue and wedding services like photography, makeup. Essentially, we are a one-stop wedding company to the customer. We are present pan-India across almost all major cities and all destination wedding cities like Jaipur, Udaipur, Jodhpur, Goa. And in 2019, we did 27,000 plus events across India. And in 2020, of course, it was a COVID year where we had, events dropped significantly. We managed to do 15,000 plus events across the year. Just talking about Rajasthan, we manage 50 plus venues, multiple artists, and we executed 750 plus events in Rajasthan in 2019. And remember, Atulji, I mentioned about the number of inquiries we get in a month. We get around 6,000 inquiries for cities like Jaipur, Udaipur, or destination wedding in the state of Rajasthan. So that's the scale of who we are. I thought I'll just quickly tell you that. What do we provide to our customers? To our customers, the value proposition that we provide is, apart from being a one-stop shop, we essentially provide a guarantee of a great event, right? So we are a fulfillment, we are end-to-end shop. and we are a fulfillment engine. So we provide guarantee of a great event. And to our partners, who we work with, like venues and artists, who believe in providing great experience, our value proposition to them is whatever business they do, we generally try to double that business. So to customers, we provide a guarantee of a great event, and to our partners, our venues and artists, we provide double their business, whatever they're doing. Moving on to Rajasthan, some of you already covered, and I personally am very fascinated with Rajasthan. It's one of the most fascinating and colorful states of India. It's definitely not just about talking about forts and palaces. It's also about rich culture and traditions, and its roots go back to centuries, right? And we have discussed that. It flaunts multiple enchanting and stunning wedding venues, which are perfect for colorful, dramatic, and royal destination wedding, right? A destination that is easily accessible by multiple modes of transport, and oozes the flavor of royalty. Pristine lakes, heritage palaces, warm hospitality are reasons enough to host a wedding. And you must know that Rajasthan and Bollywood have a serious love for each other, and that continues to, I don't know how many of you seen Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, where Udaipur Uday Vilas was shown. It just continues to destination wedding as Rajasthan as the serious destination wedding place for Bollywood, right? So it continues to Bollywood continues to pick Rajasthan in every movie they can, right? So it's good going for us, right? Now moving on to tourism, we have some of you have already talked about is tourism has been impacted the most. And some stats are talking about some 100 million jobs are at risk globally due to this. I'm glad this webinar is happening. And so I feel COVID has been has somewhat a blessing in disguise for Rajasthan, because when I look at tourism, for me Rajasthan, the answer lies in wedding tourism, right? Right now the overall tourism is down, but the wedding tourism is the place to look at, and I'm going to talk about in that perspective. And when I talk about COVID has been a blessing in disguise. We have seen a lot more intimate weddings move from Delhi NCR to Rajasthan, to Jaipur. People are 50-100 packs wedding. A family which was expecting to spend 25-30 lakhs in Delhi are not able to do so, and they're taking the same amount of money and taking it to a smaller, take a smaller intimate wedding and doing a destination wedding of sorts in Jaipur. So we are seeing a lot more smaller intimate weddings moving from Delhi to Jaipur and around. And you also know that international is closed, right? People are not going to outside India, and hence Udaipur and Jaipur are also seeing surge in the destination wedding, right? I must also tell you, I run a 5-star hotel in Jaipur called 5 by Oyo, and we are surviving only on the back of wedding events. Our normal room revenue is down, but weddings are essentially what is making that hotel survive right now, right? So the question is, for a middle class in Delhi NCR, this is my view is, they would love to do a dream. For them, a dream is to do a wedding in Jaipur. A dream is to do a wedding in Udaipur. How can we make it happen? They all, sometimes it's a myth, it will be very expensive, or it will be unmanageable. Can we break those myths? Can we tell them it's actually not that expensive? Can we make it manageable for them? Can we make Rajasthan accessible to the middle class of India, right? And to tell you, right, I mean, we are a startup are doing our bit, right? We have a large number of customers. We are pushing them to Rajasthan. We are currently in large cities of Rajasthan. I talked about Jaipur, Udaipur. We are also launching a new platform to be able to connect customers across India to all towns of Rajasthan. We are, as a startup, connecting venues and artists with the customers. We take ownership of fulfillment, and we will continue to push this, right? Some of our venues that we manage in Rajasthan, they get 60-70% of their business through online already, right? Now, what more can we do together? Because it is not going to be just, one, Mugdha ji talked about, it cannot be one hand, right? It is going to be a public private partnership, and both of us have to work together to make it happen, right? So first thing is, when it comes to wedding tourism, like I said, I think we need to market it, and I talked about it last time as well. We need to market this so much that people across, at least where Delhi, NCR, North India, they know that they can do a great wedding in Jaipur under say 10 lakhs, right? If their budget is 10 lakhs or their budget is 15 lakhs, they can do a great wedding, a great destination wedding in Jaipur for a reasonable budget, right? And so one, of course, way is to to think about new things, right? But I am saying, even when you think about just status quo, that you have these venues, you have heritage properties, you have whatever you have, can we market them aggressively so that people, whoever is thinking about a wedding in Delhi, every family, and I'm seriously saying every family, are they considering, let's take a Volvo bus and go to Rajasthan, 50 people, and do a 2-day wedding in Rajasthan and come back, right? Every family should be thinking that, but they are not, because if you talk about destination wedding to a middle class in Delhi, they are thinking 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs. But we do a lot of 2-day weddings for 10 lakhs also. But are they thinking, can we market it to a large number of people in Delhi, NCR, and say, can we bring them here, right? Of course, Sabina ji talked about, and Mugdha ji also talked about new experiences. And on that one, we talked about opening up more heritage properties, opening up sand dunes, opening up lakeside areas at a very reasonable price. People can apply online and get immediate approvals. Can you allow some exclusive packages to wedding customers, right? For example, you have a palace. Of course, it's open to visitors, right? But could you create a package for a wedding family to come in and saying, yeah, you can bring in your guest and have a look around as a family. The whole palace is all for you to look around. Or just do can you find a way for us to arrange drinks at some palace, right? So, Mugdha ji talked about art and culture. Absolutely, we would look at that and say, how do we open it up to wedding families, 50 people, 100 people, experiencing this in exclusive fashion, right? And I think this is where the public private partnership would come together and saying, yeah, we have customers, you have the infrastructure, could we bring it all together and either create exclusive packages, reasonable packages, and then market it to our customers, right? Making it easier for customers to navigate Rajasthan, maybe a simple, when you start marketing Rajasthan as a wedding destination, a simple website that gives all the information. If anybody is interested, you connect them to wedding vendors or planners or whatever, however way you can, right? And then, some other things that we think about, which is what can you give to customers beyond all of this, right? I remember when COVID was happening, London came out and said, to support the restaurant, they said, you eat one meal, I'll give you another meal free, right? And we talked about last time as well, Atulji, that, could we do something with giving credit to the customer, a GST credit for outside people coming from outside, right? Can we help them to make it even more reasonable for them to do a event in Rajasthan, right? I think, those are my thoughts, which is how can we collaborate, one, to market it to a larger base, and then how can we collaborate to open up more places, more destinations, more experiential packages together, and really make it very attractive for both kind of segments, the normal segment and the high-end segment. Thank you, Atulji. I would love to hear, and I would love to collaborate with your team to really take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lodha. And with this, we would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Dilip Chinoy, who is the Secretary General of FICCI. Over to you, sir. In fact, till the time he connect, sir, there are some 1 or 2 questions that have come on the platform that I would like to ask. Chintan ji, you are there. they are saying startups developing rural tourism, ecotourism, nature tourism. What will be the policy of Startup India? Is there anything we can share on this?
I mean, I am not aware about the. I don't think there's any specific policy around it. But I think as far as rural tourism, all these things are concerned, there's actually more of a bigger challenge in implementing some of these things and ensuring quality control and things like that. I mean, not aware of the policy, but I think there's as we have been discussing, there is, I think, enough scope around doing all these things. Of course, as startups, you will probably have to collaborate with relevant hospitality service providers. You may also have to collaborate on the front end to acquire customers. So I think those are the important things, and implementation is key. How do you build SOPs? How do you make sure that the customer or the tourist gets a very standardized kind of an experience, safety? Those things are very, very, very important. I mean, I'm not aware about any specific policies around it, but I think, that's really one of the key things that we were talking about, that as an experience, if you are able to experience rural India with a very curated kind of a process, whether it is food, whether it is art, culture, philosophy, etc., that is something which will not be available for the tourist anywhere in the world. So I think as a USP, as a product, it's a great idea. Implementation is the key, and building forward and backward linkages with you. It's very difficult to do it alone. You'll have to work with some players in the area. You'll have to look at how to acquire customers. Acquiring customers is the key. So I think those relationships will have to be developed.
Okay. There is one more question. It's saying digitalization. Everybody is talking about digitalization in tourism, but the tourism is real experience. Can we keep digital AI out of the real tourism? I don't know. This looks like more of an observation, but any comment?
Atulji?
Yeah.
May I?
Answer.
Yeah, your last question regarding the tourism and the support, I would like to highlight a thing here. The Rajasthan government has come up with an ordinance,
right,
which extends to the whole of state of Rajasthan, and these are for these known as incentives which the government is giving for the new entrepreneurs to start up their units, businesses. And this particular umbrella they are giving for any conversion or anything to be done for 3 years, and there is a nodal agency for that. There is a gazette notification also. If people want to start up a thing here, and if they feel that there will be a lot of red tapeism which they'll have to take it up. But now this government has come up with an ordinance which is giving it to the Rajasthan micro, small, and medium facilities establishment. Yeah, this is there for 3 years till 2022. You can do this, and also our tourism policy 2020 has come up with new events which were not there before. That was adventure, desert, tribal, cultural, lot of other things. Like, it is a very good chance for the people who wants to come up with some startup things. If they go through the tourism policy, also there are subsidies and capital interest incentive also on all these things. Especially in the rural sector, we are coming up with a guest house scheme, which will be soon be launched for 20 rooms, where the conversion and approach is also being considered. So probably if somebody wants to come up with all these things, they should study these both the notifications.
Right. Thank you. And I think Mr. Chinoy is held up with some other meeting. So we take a closing comments and then request Surendra Singh ji to sum up the program. Randhir ji, you would like to say something to sum up the program?
Thank you, Atul. In fact, startups are a very important aspect now with this people looking for new experiences and all that. And in fact, the startups could give good ideas to Rajasthan tourism hoteliers as well as destination management people to come out with something different, because Rajasthan has so much to offer, and we can actually come out with very interesting ideas as Chetan's mentioned, Sandeep's mentioned, and others have mentioned about it, that Rajasthan could be the hub for wedding destinations, new ideas, new experiences, like, wine tourism, for example,
Yeah.
and things like that, and experience bash in the dunes, dune bashing, in other, so many other activities.
So that the exercise doesn't become repetitive and we have more
Yeah.
and more interest
We have
cultivated.
different experiences in different areas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chintanji, any closing comments? Anything that brings momentum to the startup movement?
I think the ideas were very enlightening, and to hear from the experts, from Mugdha ji, etc. So I think I'll kind of maybe reiterate the same thing, and which is, I think, the consensus all around, that to go to the next level of tourism, we'll have to focus on experiences, whether it is in art, culture, history, philosophy, adventure, whatever it is. And there are enough opportunities within Rajasthan. Gap is that there are we the startups, right? Because these are experiences which are new. Of course, as Sabina mentioned, a lot of the existing hoteliers, etc., can do some part of it. I mean, it's not only about startups, but startups are important because some of these things which are out of the box, which are completely new, which may not have a foundation in a physical property. I mean, it's something which can be done in a distributed fashion. Maybe it's better to be done by a new player. So as long as we can build some interesting programs in Rajasthan, whether these are accelerator programs, whether these are kind of hackathons where people they come up with new ideas, pitch, etc., and then they get some small money to do the pilots and then move to the next level. I think building these programs will create enough of a magnet to get these startups and some and scale up, and we'll see these interesting products getting developed. Yeah, so I think those are my quick comments.
Thank you, Chintanji. Sabina ji, any closing comments? You're on mute, ma'am.
Actually, just wanted to collate all the views that Mugdha, Sandeep, Chintan have mentioned, and Surendra ji have mentioned. It's actually the whole combination of new people entering the tourism and revamping it, and also the existing people who are in the tourism industry, who own certain products or certain hotels or certain, even the itineraries that you create, even that needs a revamp, I think, and it's heavily required right now. It's something that we need to, Sandeep has mentioned about weddings. How do we project it? I mean, I'm sharing a challenge that I got for 50 people. I couldn't get something in Rajasthan because everybody wanted the big ones, the 100 or 100 plus. So that's where awareness, every business should be welcome. And you see, because now we can't travel internationally, we have to look domestically and go to those popular destinations maybe twice or thrice. What is that attracts me to Rajasthan again? It's done and deal. So it's not only the new people who have to come in and revamp the whole thing. It's the existing products which have to be revamped and seen with a new eye. What is that new freshness that can be added to a Rajasthan itinerary? What is that freshness that can be added to a hotel, which is already existing? And heritage is something that, as I said, that's the done deal. You guys are the #1 state in the country with the heritage stuff. How do you revamp that heritage to attract more and more people coming in? Like, Chintan mentioned, there are a lot of people who are doing food trails in Rajasthan. Food trails, when I think of in my mind, is Hyderabad, is Lucknow, is South, certain places in South. I don't think of Jaipur because maybe it's there, but it's not projected well. They're not using technology to reach out to the masses. So it's a combination of everything which comes through. I think the existing players in the industry who are there right now need to revamp their products, need to look at fresh, and maybe add on these entrepreneurs who are coming in with new ideas. Okay, this time in my itinerary, I'm going to mention this, which adds a freshness or something, because you see, Rajasthan is particularly sold to the foreign tourist as an itinerary. It is not sold as an individual product. Maybe very few people will come and stay with a single hotel and go back. But to international, while as Indians, you will go and stay in one place and come back. But when you're giving it to an international tourist, he will look at an itinerary, which is seeing the entire. How do you add that freshness element to attract the person who's gone to Rajasthan earlier and add him on again? How will you how will you attract that? So it's a revamp, and I'm sure that as industry leaders, we all are here, and in case required, we all can participate to create that freshness in case required. With that, I'd like to end.
Thank you, and thank you for being present throughout the session, albeit to wish you a fast recovery.
Thank you.
And Lodha ji, any closing comments before I request Mr. Shahpura ji?
So, I mean, everybody's talking the same. I think we have to, collaborate, work together to make this a real success. If I were to focus on one thing, I would focus on marketing Rajasthan as the wedding tourism capital, and then like Chintan said, everybody else said, I think startups will come. They will find their way, and they will do experiences. They will do stuff. So I would request that the government takes the first step, saying, okay, let's spend to market Rajasthan as the wedding destination of the country. Let's open up these palaces and these lakes and these sand dunes for our wedding customers. And Mugdha ji talked about opening up art and culture for wedding customers. So I would request that the government take the first step. Startups usually pounce on opportunity, right? So we will all come and do it. But I think we would request that you take the first step and say, look, we have started marketing. We have started to open up these experiences for you. We are giving GST credits to our customers who are coming from outside. I guarantee you, Atul, I think in 6 months, I think, in November, December, Jan, Feb, we should aim, saying we need to make sure that every hotel, every property, every area of sand dune is occupied by a wedding. We should just make that as an aspiration, right? And I think it will happen. But I think you have to take a first step and say, we will do it.
Thank you. So, and now I would request Mr. Surendra Singh Shahpura, Chairman of Shahpura Hotels, for the concluding remarks. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Atulji. Sabina ji, I would like to mention here that what you have said regarding offering new things, this is absolutely very, very important. Myself and Randhir Dada Mandawa, whenever we meet, it's been 30 years I have been running hotels, and Randhir Dada being the pioneer. Now, whenever we meet, we always discuss one thing: what new we have to do, what different we have to do, which we can go on the platform and offer to our clients, to our FTOs. Ma'am, this is a very, very important subject. Now, what we are lacking today is we need to meet often. Other than just selling rooms, we need to meet often and exchange ideas. I am stationed in Jaipur near Shahpura. I can give ideas to Sandeep ji of Oyo. I can give ideas to Mr. Bakshi from startups, that what are the things which are there which is not known. Like take fairs and festivals. We only have Pushkar fair. Every 60-70 kilometers, there is 1 or 2 fairs happening, whether it is a horse fair or it's a cattle fair, which slowly has, washed out. That can be created. We started in Shahpura with a small Gangor festival. From that Gangor festival, I have taken that festival to cattle, camel. People have started coming, but unfortunately last year that got cancelled because of COVID. So my submission is, we need to exchange ideas. Udaipur is coming up with, Banswara backwaters. If you see our tourism policy, we have come with Banswara backwaters. Now, Udaipur, Banswara, it can be upsold by the hoteliers who are there, who are selling rooms. Now, hoteliers need to create their own package where they can tell the client, if you come and stay here, where you can go. From Jaipur now, people can go to Bhangad, they can go to Abaneri, they can go to Siriska, they can go to Nimrana side, they can go to Shekhawati. So these types of packages we'll have to make, we'll have to educate. The travel agent plays a very important role. Now, as Mugdha ma'am said about Jawar Kala Kendra, immediately it came to my mind, Jawar Kala Kendra should be included in our itinerary, ma'am. If we can include hotels outside of Jaipur to sell F&B, Jawar Kala Kendra should be included. It's a place where a tourist, whether it is domestic or an inbound, if he goes, they will really like to see what is being displayed there. WZCC, the West Zone culture, which is headed by Mugdha ma'am, we can have in the season time, we can have the local people playing at Khasakoti. You see, I've been using WZCC for all my fairs and festivals. It's something which I never knew. I was getting Punjab band, I was getting from Maharashtra, I was getting people Lagadi to come and display in my Gangor festival. When I came to WZCC, I didn't know there was so much which we had. From the Mayur dance to the Bihar, if you go to the Orissa, you go to Gujarat, everything is available at WZCC. These are the things which we can offer. This will make it totally different. Now, when we come down to the weddings, Sandeep sir, I would like to say, last time also I requested this. Please try and promote something new, different from the city hotels. I know I'm saying even I have hotels in the city, but I want that you should make new itineraries and new destination. Like take for example Aravali's. Aravali's is just 40 kilometers. The Aravali range is just 40 kilometers starting from Viratnagar to Siriska. You got around 150 to 200 rooms there. Small marriages, less costing and different. They can go to Bharatpur, they can go to Deeg, they can go to Alwar, they can go to Siriska. You know, you will also have to make your weddings little bit more attractive by pitching in all these things to make it more adventurous. शादी में भी जा रहे हैं, वहां पे भी जाके आएंगे. We will go and see this also. You know, something like this. I don't know if what I'm talking makes sense or not. But as a 65-room hotel here in Jaipur, we are doing small marriages. But even we get bored. Same thing going. People are going to come. Fera will take place. Dinner will take place. Cocktail ho gaya, chale gaye. By the end of the day, when we sit down, it's a family managed business. All the family is working. We feel we need to do something different. Something different. Just selling rooms, just selling food is not going to be the end of tourism. So my submission is that the discussion has really given me a lot of ideas that there are things which we need to do not only making hotels and making rooms, but certain upsell things will have to be created to last longer in this game. So thank you very much. And it was really nice to have all of you.
Thank you, Shahpura ji. With this, we come to the close of the program. Mugdha ma'am, if you would like to say something, or we close the webinar.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Surendra Singh Shahpura for mentioning that idea. In fact, just two small points. In the government, we often talk of ethics, but we don't talk of aesthetics, right? Right from the designing of the card, and Sabina, I think, mentioned the designing of the itinerary. What makes a good government institution a popular institution with credibility and with inclusion of ethics becomes very important. If you get a Sarkari card, then function Sarkari hoga. If you get a card which is well designed, you know that there is something else happening. So that is one point. It's very important. We work together. That is why. The second is Mr. Shahpura, I'm very happy to sit with you. I have a lot of ideas for the hotel industry in collaboration with Jawahar Kala Kendra. And also Chintan, maybe I'm happy to do with your collaboration an event for startups in tourism or startups in art and culture. I'm happy to invite them, so that they, it's very important for the private sector and startups to understand what the government does or what the government is actually capable of doing in terms of the inherent or latent potential which the government has to offer. What is happening is people are doing a lot of startup or a lot of e-commerce or a lot of technology ideas which don't sync with the government because their own understanding of the government is very different. So I think these two thoughts, and I think Randhir Singh ji, I am requesting you, because you are part of the FICCI platform and also part of the hotelier. Please, let's do a brainstorming session at JKK with the hotel industry, because I have a lot of ideas which will connect art, exhibitions, and Shahpura ji, you mentioned bands. In fact, I've opened my open air theater free for school bands to play every Friday night if they want. We've opened free spaces for poetry addas like you have in cafes next to our India Coffee House. We have a cup of joy, which I think Sandeep Lodha was mentioning, which is, an idea that we replicated from Naples, and we've got it. And today it's cashless. So you can just go to Jawahar Kala Kendra And you can just use the QR code or the POS machine to contribute money for anybody who would want to do. It's called in Indian understanding, it's called Gupt Daan, so that you don't even know who's utilizing that money to have free coffees at the India Coffee House. So all those things we've started. We've also started a JKK book club where we are offering space free, very well designed space by our design cohort people. You can use the space free unless you are doing a commercial event, which includes book exhibitions or book sales or book launches where we can't collaborate with you. So we'll charge you something for that. But all kind of book discussions and everything you have to mention, you have to do it in collaboration, that's free. We have a Jawahar Kala Kendra, we just got inaugurated on the 10th of March on the International Women's Day. A JKK souvenir shop, which has nice cups. So you can get tourists now because there are a lot of activities which are happening. We are offering that JKK Souvenir Club space free for artists who would want to sell their wear. And we'll be charging a 10% commission. So we are not giving the place on rentals. We have stopped being a zamindar. We are doing innovative revenue models where the artist gets space free and we charge a 10% commission on each item that gets sold, getting them to sign a little kind of an agreement with us saying that this proprietorship and ownership of the stuff belongs to them. So please bring tourists to JKK. We'll be very happy. Also, I want to do with the hotels what is called art residency, you know, because a lot of people would like to write books. I would like to write a book. I can take chutti from the government. I need a place to stay, undisturbed, right? To write a book. Artists would like to paint. So offer your places and we can do that in collaboration with JKK because I have art residency. I could offer something, you could offer something. We could together do it. The book will acknowledge your place, book will acknowledge me. Those are kind of things. All this I'm offering free from the government. Please don't forget, ideas today cost money. Okay, so just offering all these ideas to all of you free of cost. Right? Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Ms. Sinha. In fact, as hoteliers, we'll definitely get in touch with you. And we also have an art society which is working on promoting artists. We'll get in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you.